Critical Role! We haven't heard from these guys in a while. They've been relatively quiet since January. Some people are still waiting for them to take a stance on the whole OGL thing, and they're just like, wait and see. Wait and see. Now, according to the few spots and posts I've seen, the wait and see seems to be Mercer slowly disconnecting Tal'Dorei and Exandria from anything that has to do with Wizards of the Coast. He's been running a very apocalyptic end of the world campaign, slaughtering gods and references to D&D. So maybe in the evolution of post-campaign 3, Tal'Dorei, Exandria, Critical Role world is going to be completely Wizards of the Coast free. But amongst all that, they've secretly started another game called MITS. We don't know a lot about MITS. It's a weird fourth wall breaking, reality bending science fantasy space western about a small doom planet floating in a cosmic ocean of spooky darkness. So yeah, this is a podcast, I guess, animated, completely independent role-playing game that has nothing to do. It is an outside produced property. It has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast, nothing to do with D&D. It is one of their own things. And yeah, it's completely to them. Where can you find it? It is apparently on podcasts, Spotify, Google, and Mits.com. I think you can also find some version of it on YouTube.
Welcome to Exandria.
But not much. It started airing, I guess, a while back on April 11th. So April 11th will be the first version that Critical Role does. The independent pre-Critical Role started airing in January. And then Wizards Critical Role went and said, hey, let our production company and our printing press and our things do you guys. And they're like, yes, please, we so want to be part of Critical Role. And Critical Role was like, look, here, we made a brand new sort of role-playing game, sort of podcast, sort of thing. It's completely independent role-playing system, has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. It's science fantasy, Western, it's in space, it's got all sorts of new stuff, it's spooky and funny and dark and thrilling, and it's not D&D. Other than that, don't know a lot about it. It's space, Western, fantasy, sci-fi, multi-narrator, role-playing game thing. Which is, yeah, I mean, if you go to the link, I pretty much encapsulated it as best I could. There's very little information on it, and it's very much just, hey, we're sort of gonna, no, we're not gonna, it's kind of, but I mean, I think, what's more important amongst all this, hey, they're doing something in their spare time that has nothing to do with Xandria, is, hey, they're doing something in their spare time that's a completely new, completely different role-playing system that has no connection with Wizards of the Coast whatsoever. Could this be another subtle sign of them breaking off from Wizards of the Coast? I am still of the belief it is not a matter of if, it is simply a matter of when Mercer and company end their association with Wizards of the Coast and make their own role-playing whatever. It could be 5e adjacent. It could fall under the ORC, but I think it is best for business for them to end their association. Unless Wizards of the Coast hands them a huge, 9-figure plus multimedia deal. And that multimedia deal would have to beat their current deal with Amazon, which, let's face it, is pretty sweet. I mean, a third season of Vox Machina, first season of Mighty Nine, some independent animated projects coming up, a live action project coming up, free merchandising through Amazon, access to Amazon's multimedia empire with no imperial oversight from Wizards of the Coast. And that's I mean, I don't think people realize how much money that is for them, but that's Amazon. I'm just going to, take a rocket to the moon because I can, Jeff Bezos kind of money. So yeah, in order for you know, and they have complete media rights and complete merchandising rights through Amazon, which is, of course, if you understand the studio system, that's what you want. You want the merchandising rights, you want the syndication rights, you want the media rights. You don't care about that front end, here's $2 million, make a show for us. That's nothing. That's gone in 5 seconds in Hollywood money. You want that back end money. You want that syndication money. You want that complete control of media money. You want that merchandise money. That's your nest egg. That's your year after year after year constant source of income. And that's what Amazon is offering them. So for, Hasbro to meet or beat that, it's got to be a sweet, sweet deal. So again, it's not a matter of if, as far as I'm concerned, it's a matter of when was Mercer and Company end their association and go off and make their own thing under Amazon or under their own. And MITS could be the first, second, third hint that that's what they're doing. Or I could just be blowing smoke. I don't know. Critical Role is very smart in letting very little information out on what their plans are for 2023. So you got to respect them for that. After everything they've gone through, including all the crap I've said about them, they're playing their cards close to their chests. So that's a smart thing. So there's some Critical Role MITS news. This will be live on YouTube starting the 11th. So if you want to see a space fantasy western from our favorite Critical Role people over at Mercer Productions, it's out there. I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about Critical Role ever again, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about subscribing. Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And of course, if you're feeling generous this Easter season, maybe you want to support the OG GM, and the best way to do that is to sign up for the subscription through the Patreon, or head on over to Big Geek Emporium and pick up my merch. Links to both of those down below. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you later. I'm outie. I'm going to a space western fantasy planet.